Ragusa and Ragusa Ibla are two linked towns in southern eastern Sicily, which are dwarfed by the nearby Iblaean mountains. The older, lower town, Ragusa Ibla, and the higher Ragusa Superiore, upper town. This area has risen from the ashes of a natural disaster in 1693 to enjoy a modern boom in tourism and a go-to destination for Baroque architecture. Ragusa, and in particular Ragusa Ibla, is part of the wider area of Val di Noto, which has been recognised as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. To learn more about La Bella Sicilia, consider subscribing. The origins of Ragusa were a number of Sicels that settled in the east of Sicily around 2000 BC. Some say that Ragusa was formed when the Sicel king, Iblon, drove away the nearby Sicans and settled this area. What is now Ragusa Ibla started off as Ibla Herea. Very little is known about the early history. What is known is that Hippocrates, the tyrant of Gela, died confronting the Iblaean Sicilians near Ibla Herea in 491 BC in a failed campaign to dominate southeastern Sicily. In 450 BC, Phalaris, the tyrant of Agrigento, threatened Ibla Herea several times, but was always beaten back by an alliance including Syracusa and forces of Sicily. Carthaginian rule, they came from Tunisia, would soon be replaced by the Romans. As a result of the fall of the Roman Empire, Sicily was subjected to invasions by the Vandals, who caused devastation across the island around 456 AD. Later on, the Byzantines would build a wall around the city and a castle around 700 AD. These fortifications were there to defend against future invasions, and it was at this time the name of Ragusa was first used. The Arabs overran most of Sicily in the 9th century. After numerous failed attempts, the Arabs finally took Ragusa in 848 and called it Ragus. A popular uprising in 866 briefly ejected the Arabs, only for them to return in 878. Agriculture flourished in the area under Arab control. New products and means of agriculture. So, for example, there was cotton, there were new styles of irrigation, and terraced farming was now in use. This left a long-lasting legacy of agriculture in this area. In 1090, Norman agitators fomented unrest in the population, and this triggered a popular and bloody uprising which drove the Arabs from Ragusa. The Normans spread propaganda that a vastly outnumbered group of Norman knights vanquished the enemy supported by God and St. George specifically. The city was given to the son of Roger I, and the name of Ragusa was in use once again. It was now ruled by a count rather than the king of Sicily, starting with the Chiaramonte family. Ragusa was very wealthy and greatly coveted. King Frederick II granted Ragusa and its count lots of privileges, but as a result of the terrible Angevin rule, the Sicilian Vespers exploded. Giovanni Prefoglio led insurgents to massacre the French garrison in Ragusa in 1282, and he briefly governed Ragusa. Ragusa was at its zenith in the 14th century under Manfredi III Chiaramonte and later Count Bernardo Cabrera. The region enjoyed administrative independence from Palermo as a key feudal state. The devastating earthquake of 1693 destroyed the old town of Ragusa Ibla and killed nearly half of the inhabitants. The majority of survivors fled to form what is now Ragusa Superiore as a new settlement, and only later on would some return to the old original settlement of Ragusa Ibla. After this tragic era, the entire Val di Noto region was rebuilt in the Baroque splendour that we can enjoy today. Vaccarini, Palma, Giovanni Vernezio, Sebastiano Ittar, Vincenzo Sinatra and Rosario Gagliardi designed and built the stunning architecture. From 1713, the Savoy, the Austrians and the Bourbons took turns to rule both Ragusa and Sicily. In 1848, volunteers from Ragusa, Modica and Sicily combined to unseat the Bourbon government in an attempt to seek independence. The volunteers joined Garibaldi, who landed in Marsala in 1860, and as a result, Sicily became part of the Kingdom of Italy, when actually, at the time, the population of Sicily was expecting independence from Italy. The fascist dictator Benito Mussolini visited Ragusa in 1924. Ragusa and Ragusa Ibla had been governed separately for many years. In 1927, Ragusa became the regional capital, and the municipalities of Ragusa and Ragusa Ibla were reunited under common government. The fascist regime of Mussolini was resented in Sicily for a number of reasons. The draconian anti-mafia campaign of the 1920s arrested suspects by the thousands and confiscated property. This alienated the regime with large parts of the Sicilian population. A number of members of organised crime groups promptly fled to America during this period. During this time of food shortages, the agricultural region that was Sicily was instructed to keep exporting food to northern Italy at a time when the population was starving. The agents sent from the north of Italy to govern Sicily were often very dismissive of the Sicilians. They found the island difficult to govern and were not above corruption themselves. The Second World War brought heavy bombardment due to the nearby military airport of Comiso. 1943 saw the Allied landing on the nearby coast, mainly around the Gulf of Gela. Ragusa was not defended, and the population did treat this as a liberation. Today, Ragusa is a wealthy city and has had a university since 1998. So what are the bridges that Ragusa is famous for? So starting with Ponte Vecchio, Old Bridge. This was built in 1843 and is nicknamed the Capuchin Bridge. Ponte Nuovo, New Bridge, was built in 1937 during the fascist period. The Bridge of Pope Giovanni XXIII was built in 1964. Around Ragusa there is a stack of things to see, but in a nutshell, if you had less than one day, this is what I would look at. Ragusa Cathedral, dedicated to St. John the Baptist, San Giovanni Battista, was built in the 18th century in a Baroque style. The Cathedral of San Giorgio was built in 1738 by Rosario Gagliardi on the site of an ancient temple destroyed by the 1693 earthquake. This is the one that frequently appears in the TV series Montalbano. Santa Maria delle Scale, St. Mary of the Steps, was built in the 15th and 16th centuries. There is also evidence in the Ibleo Gardens based on the excavations that could well be evidence of Ibla Area. The Italian broadcaster Rai has filmed Detective Montalbano in and around Ragusa, and this has caused a booming tourism industry in the area. So famous people from the area. Princess Maria Paterno Arezzo. She was a noblewoman and philanthropist who left a bequest for the construction of a hospital with beds provided for the poor. Loredana Cannata, an actress who performed in theatre plays of Pirandello and also in a movie by Paolo Sorrentino. Maria Occhipinti, a feminist writer who wrote the book A Woman from Ragusa. Enea Scala, an operatic tenor who typically performs bel canto.